My name is Joe Manja, and you can call me the preacher son, and you can call me the preacher man. You can call me yes, yes, so you can call me names. We got many AKAs. Well, I'm from Just South Local Government Council, Bukru Express, Gale, Division Junction, precisely here in Just Plateau State. Well, I grew up in a home where music was the order of the day. Music was like the food of that house in particular. My mother loved music, and all my elder brothers and sisters love music. Everybody have his own particular music artist they have. I remember vividly when everybody would play because we have just one recorder in the house, so they were always fighting. I want to play this music, I want to play that music. So I grew up in that house hearing a lot of music. Eventually, I developed that subconscious interest in music, which triggers me into the children's choir. And while I was there, I think my zeal and passion makes the choir master and our leader that year to crown me as the one who tutored my peers in music. So there was passion, there was love for music, and then eventually gave me that love for music that made me the leader in that choir music that year. But fundamentally, that was my starting point because it built that subconscious love for sounds in my heart. So everywhere I go to, I was thinking music while growing up. And that moved me to start watching musical programs on TV that year and to start getting glued to my radio, trying to listen to music. So that was the preliminary foundation that escalated my love for music. And I remember vividly when we come, like we come for rehearsals, we'll be given the opportunity to sing, and then our leader that year will tell you that if you go back home, you come next week, make sure you sing this line correctly. So we're always rehearsing with friends. I remember we'll be doing some rush hour rehearsals that year, trying to make it up so that we go back the following week and then deliver. So by and large, I think my foundation, my solid rock foundation, was the church children's choir. Yeah, now Sammy's, and amazingly, Sammy's was Hausa traditional Kalangu kind of music group. And I remember we were 7, including my friend Eljo. He was part of the group that year. And we nicknamed ourselves after some Hausa great musicians. Me, they called me Zuberu. And I think they called Eljo Awal, so And then our dressings were predominantly the northern kind of attires. Those were the things we wear. So the Samis became very important in my music journey because as at the times I was getting mature as a teenager, that was when I started consciously facing the audience now, knowing what is wrong and what is right. And then if I make a mistake, I know I make mistakes. And then it was beginning to teach me how to write songs because I was also writing songs in that group, the Samis. And the Samis also taught me how to play. So many people don't know I play the talking drum. I do, and I play very well. And then I was also one of the vocalists in that group that year. So it gave me exposure to stand before people. It built my confidence. That is one. Secondly, the psalmist taught me how to start writing songs. Thirdly, the psalmist taught me how to start singing music and make it get appeal to the ears of the people. Well, it's never easy. If not for the fact that I'm facing the camera, there are so many things I'm going to say. But I have to censor a lot of things I'm going to say. Some things are very personal. It's never easy. And none of them was accidental. All of them were very calculated. And I started as a musician, and I was doing music. And then when I was growing up in the youth fellowship, eventually I found myself in the evangelism team. And if you're in the evangelism team, you were taught how to preach, how to reach out, and then we're going to crusades and mission fields way back. And then we were taught to pick role models among preachers that you go and listen over and over and over again. And I was listening to Paul Gindiri over and over again. I was listening to Reinhard Bonnke over and over again. And that's kind of developed my love for evangelistic approach to the gospel, and that developed my love and passion for preaching as well. And they call me the preacher's son, and that was how the nickname the preacher's son the pen name came through. And so I was doing all of this, and then eventually, while growing up, Paul Gendry, his approach to his evangelistic approach to preaching had a lot to do with social life, had a lot to do with political progression, had a lot to do with religious setbacks, and especially in northern Nigeria. So he was talking much about politics and politicians, their flaws and governance. And so this kind of built my desire for good governance. So apart from Paul Gendry, now the reality sets in. I go down the streets and then I see the way politicians behave, and to a larger extent, I have been a scapegoat to some of the impediments caused by politicians. So one day I said to myself, I should be tired of complaining. Why wouldn't I give it a try? It's not going to be easy. But let me just try something. But I reprimanded myself and said, no, I won't do that. Eventually, a friend of mine started contesting for councillorship. And that guy is a band leader in one of the churches around. So our proximity with him tends to feel my love and passion for politics. So we started supporting him. He's a good Christian. He's doing a lot of political stuff that year. And he actually emerged a winner if they were going to count, you understand? If they're going to count by the virtue of the numbers in the queues, because councillorship primaries was predominantly option A4, and which means you're going to count the people in each line. But at the end of the day, they play Jack, they play Robinson, they play hide, they play seek, they rob from Peter to people, and they didn't give him. So that provoked me, and I told them the day they announced the other guy, I said, in the next 3 years I'm going to contest. They thought I'm joking. Lo and behold, next 3 years this year, I contested the councillorship and I won. One of the things that I wanted to do was to be a councillor and a politician that will be accessible. It's not necessarily dashing people money like every day. A councillor don't even have that kind of money to dash in the first place. But I wanted to make the position look natural, normal, because before then, you don't even see them down the streets. So when I became one, I made sure that I was always in my neighborhood, I was with the people, and that never stopped the fact that I was a musician. I was going, in fact, it gave me an age, because by the end of the month, if I get paid, at least I saw the people a little bit in my work, and then I go to the studio. So I was recording a lot of songs. You get that? A lot of songs. And then I was transporting myself comfortably to every concert. So I could fuel a friend's car that year and go to 5 concerts in one Sunday. It was that okay for me. So in fact, I had the passion, the desire, and then the mobility to attend more events during that time than it is now. The only place I felt it affected me was I was not having more time to be creative, more time to write, and then more time to compose songs. But every program they invited me, at least I was there. Child, I can't say, because there was no rift, there was no beef, there was no fight. I think some of the members of the group became lackadaisical. They became very weak. They became their commitment drastically dropped. And when you have a group of 7 people, and then you have only 3 people or 4 consistently coming for rehearsals twice a week, it's an issue. And so at the course of that wilderness experience, one of us secured a job in Abuja and then left for Abuja. And then we were managing the 6, and the 6 only 3 were punctual. And then somehow, some way, the 2 withdraw. And then somehow, some way, the group became very cold. And then one day we met and then said, If anybody have a passion to do music, he can just do. But we don't think the psalmist will stay because of our engagement. And one of us secured work with the government, and then it became, and he got married at that time. So newlywed couples. So a lot of things, we didn't fight, we didn't quarrel, there was no rift, there was no beef. It was just natural tendencies that got us to where we were. But we agreed that if he wants to pursue music, we can go and pursue music. So that was how the psalmist went down the drain. But when the psalmist was going down, there were other guys who were imitating us. Let me use that word, imitating us in quote. And then so when we went down, one of us now went back to that group. They call themselves Combined Gospel Team. So one of us now went back to that group, and then he moved with them. Me went hush, Eljo went hush, and then Eljo started pursuing a solo career. And then some guys came to me to form an a cappella group. They call it The Friends. So we now started that. That didn't last for like 1 year. And so the moment that particular group went down the drain, I said to myself, I'm not going to do any group again. I want to group. So I started writing my own songs. I remember the first song ever that I wrote in my life. It started Queen Magana. So that was the first song I wrote. It's a Hausa song. And unfortunately, I've not produced that song. I wrote the song, I was singing the song live in programs. So that year I started singing my own songs. But the song that eventually got people to know that there was somebody like Joe Manja, the song is titled Suicide. That year. And I did the production. You know, those years they produce on keyboards, and then they read the songs for you on diskettes. So I went to a program one day, and then the diskette disappointed me, and then later it peaked. So when I started singing that song, the crowd was like, So immediately, people within my milieu recognized the fact that I was singing, and that was just the beginning. So the psalmist disintegrated not because we had beef, but because of our lackadaisical attitude towards the group. Before I get to Mr. Seth, let's not forget.
Okay.
There's this guy named called Samdum of Africa. Samdum of Africa that year was doing more of the Arewa Shantu music. But he knew I was doing more of the hip hop and R&B music way back. And so one day, I think he met Mr. Seth somewhere. That day we don't have studios like rampant like they are these days. You could just single out studios that were in Jos. You could just count them. So I think he went somewhere to the studio and then met Mr. Seth in Jos. And immediately, there were no phones then. He came back to the house, and I was not at home, and he left the message saying he wants to see me. So when they gave me that message, I went back to see him, and he said, man, I found the right guy for a songs. I said, we say Mr. Seth. I said, who is Mr. Seth? He said, it's one guy. The studio is around Chindi, Cooking Headquarters, off NYC Secretariat. Just see that guy. Immediately, he told me that it was in the evening. The following day, I was in the studio. I traced that studio, and when I heard what the guy was producing way back, it was this box computer, those days, Pentium 2, all of these computers that could just, consume electricity. But he was producing massive work. And when I heard him, you know what happened? Immediately we bonded with Seth. And I said, I want to do an album. We bargained for that album. Do you know how much? 8K. 8K for the entire album of 10 songs. And it will amaze you that that was the first time I met Kespan. Far back, because Kespan and Seth are cousins. And Kespan was not singing all the slow songs, the worship. Kespan was a rapper. All of us were rapping way back. Kespan was rapping like Eminem. So I met Kespan, we met with Seth, and the moment we bonded with Seth, the relationship became stronger. And I was always in the studio. And then we started the production of my songs, and it's like he understands my sound. He just sing a song for me. When I just sing that song, he hit that note. You just see everything was flowing. So we became very close, very cool, very good friends, and that was how I started the Preacher's Son album. Jeremiah again was someone everybody just desired, admired, emulate, wants to be like. Because he grew up in a complete music home. His father was a musician, had a studio, played instruments, and at a very tender age of 8 or 9, I think, according to Jeremiah, he started playing instruments already. Jeremiah started production at the age of 12 or 13. As time to be corrected, then he produced Manja, one of the albums that hit everywhere within Plateau and beyond. Manja, before the likes of Ezra will come out from Mangu, before the likes of Reverend Andrew will come out, it was Manja that came from Mangu and shook everywhere in Jos. And we had that particular album in our house. All of us were liking that album. I never knew that was produced by Jeremiah until we grew into music and then announced it was Jeremiah that produced the album. And I think he said he produced that album within the age of 12 or 13. So everybody, Jeremiah was like a god. You could just see him and see a replica of Lucifer when he was, you get my point, when he was the singing angel in heaven. So, and he's a young person playing this, playing that. It have some charms and then captivative kind of aura that surrounds him. So everybody who was growing up as a musician in this town wanted to be like Jeremiah. And then Vincent Yoko, but Jeremiah eventually moved from Jos and then started working with Quest Media in Abuja. Then his music career was becoming very big. And then Vincent Yoko came into the scene after he finished service. And then Jeremiah had called Seth. Mr. Seth was going to meet him in Quest Media in Abuja. They were both working there. The likes of Ferocious, 6 Feet Plus, and the rest of those guys there. And so Seth abandoned my work here. It'd be interesting to know that my first album spent 4 years in the studio. 4 good years in the studio. We recorded that album back to back 3 times, 10 songs. In those days you don't have these external, backups and other things like that. So when Seth left, Vincent came. I never knew Vincent from Adam. That was the first time I saw him coming to the studio. And then he said he's going to take charge of all the productions, mixdowns, masterings that Mr. Seth could not do. That he's part of the studio, but he was serving, but now he's back. So when he came back, Vincent is very quiet, but with a critical heart and critical mind. If you're not deep, you can't live with Yoko, because he will criticize you blue black and still be laughing and drinking coke. He doesn't care whether you like it or not. He don't say it white or like, just say it black or white. So we had a lot of riffs with him, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of squabbles, but immediately I understand him, he understands me, journey begins. And let me tell you, if there's one person I will say that has played a very vital role in my life as a musician to where I am today, is Vincent Yoko. Because after he came to believe in the things that I do, he started putting me through. He started helping me. In fact, he came to a point and said, I believe in you, but this studio don't have money to sign you. But we will sign you, Juba Records that year. We will sign you, but will not pay you. They're going to do all your productions for free and everything for free. This is the best I can do for you. It can only come from a man who believes in you, who loves the things that you will do. And I remember memory vividly when he will have to even fuel the generator, because I had the money that year to do my work. And sometimes he will like, this is not where I put this song like this, put on. There are several songs of mine that he changed the chorus completely. And he's a very, 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 very good vocalist. It sings like Aaron Novell, very well. So he started moving with me to programs. Any program, he was there. He was backing me up. He was singing with me. He was featuring me. I was featuring him. And then the first time ever, my music went to Peace FM was through Vincent Nyoko. Kudungian came to the studio that year. She came to produce some jingles, and then she heard him playing Nagode Mama, and she was like, "Oh, she liked this song." And immediately he switched to the other song, Bong. She said, "Wow, I like this song. So tell the artist if he want me to play the song on radio." But Vincent said, "I will not tell him. He likes it." So he just picked 3 CDs and Born and gave her. And in those days, Peace FM was the only radio station in Jos. So before your song penetrate to Peace FM, you must have anyway, that you must have done a lot of homework that involves some papers and other things like that. So Vincent now gave her, and that was how the whole journey started. Okay, now during those years of discipleship, I was discipled by my mother, and she was discipling me on the Bible strictly, because of course, after the incident that happened to me in my SS3 in secondary school, I've not said that, and then came back home and I had an encounter with God, and she started putting me through. So we're having at least 2 sessions a day, one in the morning, one in the evening, and then after she put me through the Bible, she would give me assignments, then she'd go to work. By the time she's back, the assignments were ready. And then that was a routine for almost 2 years. There was no music, there was no sound, there was no nothing. She just asked me to concentrate on the Bible. And I'm extremely grateful for her because of that. Though sometimes I also have these headphones I hid in the ceiling. So when she's not home, because music is live and music is, one thing with music is, even if I'm not the one singing, I want to listen to music. I want to listen to other people singing. And so I was stealing myself and stealing music, and then while she was away. But those 2 years were not just trying to understand the Bible, but those 2 years were for also fasting, teaching me how to fast, teaching me how to tarry, teaching me how to read the Bible. And then she carefully made me select groups in the church I want to belong to. So I selected the groups. So from Monday to Sunday, 7 times a week I was in church. Apart from the discipleship she was putting me through at home, I was in church. So it was not an experience that I had with a smile on my face. It was an experience that was totally a spiritual experience. But I think that the same experience is keeping me till date. I've been doing a lot of projects, and 60% of those projects is voicing. I've been voicing music. I've been keeping music. I've been producing new music, and as it is right now, last 3 months specifically, I was lying on my bed like this, and I was just counting, the time I started music. I don't know how they counted back there, but down here we count it from when you release your first album. I released my first album as a very, very, very young teenager. But suddenly, the album was 20 years next year. I was just thinking, like, it's funny how time flies. That now will be 20 years next year. And then immediately I said to myself, no, there should be a celebration of 20 years on stage. There should be an event that I've never done. I've done events that to a large extent I have a feeling they are good events. But this one should come with a different touch, a different taste, a different approach completely. 20 years, it's not an easy thing. If you ask me, I will swear to God that it's not yet 20 years from the first album. But somehow, some way, it's funny how time flies. So I'm thinking next year March, because my first album was 20th March 2005. So by next year March 20th, next year 20 exactly, your tears. So when I was sharing with some of the guys around me who were always part of my team when I work, and then immediately they pick up and say, we have to do this. So that is the pipeline. And then one artist that don't have much videos. I don't have much videos. And reasons why I don't shoot videos is very personal. You understand? Because in fact, I shot a video album 2021, all these years. It was 2021 I shot the video album. But I have like 2, 3, 4 singles I shot. And the reasons probably are personal, but I used to think it's not good for people to know your face everywhere. I used to think like that everywhere you go, this one knows you. You go there, that one knows you. You go there, say, look at him. You go there, say, look at him. Somehow, I was against that, sincerely speaking. But now I'm having a different orientation completely. Because when you understand how the system works, you'll have to understand that it plays a vital role too. So I'm shooting videos, seriously, within this year and next. Within December to February, I should have nothing less than 10 videos. And then there's a movie I've been writing. I know a lot of people don't know that I was doing movies as well. Because from the drama group now that I was, and then there was a community movie group that was formed by a Reverend John Haruna, who is in the US now. And those years he will invite some of these Nollywood stars. Sincerely, they will come and then talk to us, to talk to us, and then we'll have a movie we shot, directed by Solomon Miyagi. And since then I've never been rid of movies in my subconscious mind. So I'm working on a movie titled Love and Tragedy. I'm writing that as well. So many things are on the pipeline, sir. There's a boy who is trying to put a program together, and he's doing the program on the 1st of December. When he came to me, I looked at him and I said, I'm going to tell you what I was not told. Because when I started music, it was only myself and LGO within that community that were doing music. So nobody was advising us. Nobody was putting us through. By and large, we had no mentor that looked at us and said, do this and do that. And the only place I found succor is when I go into Jos. Then I was like a studio rat. I'll go to Dab Studio. I was doing nothing. I'll sit on Dab Studio like this and watch him produce, watch him work. Well, I had that joy. That was when I get to know Dabs. I was seeing a lot of Andy Beals coming to Dabs place that year. Bobby High, all of them were coming to the studio that year. Jugukon, they were coming. A lot of these big names, M Smooth, all of these guys were coming those days. So I would just sit down and they were like, who is this? I said, no, he just wants to learn music. And so nobody was there to guide us. So I told the boy, I said, as it is right now, you are 19 years old. You are not ready for an album. I told him, let's have 1 year and work on your vocals and work on you playing at least an instrument. It's very important. No, they never taught us that. If you know at what age I started learning how to put my hands on the keyboard, you will be surprised. I went to learn guitar, the thing caught my hand, I left the strings. So, and the boy now picked offense and left and started his preparation without me. I said, no problem. Because I wouldn't start recapitulating the things I went through when I was doing these whole things in ignorance. And mine was even better because it was passion that was driving me. There was nobody to help me. But here I'm offering myself to help him. 1 year is no big deal. There's a place I'm going to take him, tutor his vocals, learn to play an instrument. And by the time you learn to play an instrument, your songwriting ability increases because you write this time with the understanding of the notes, whether the major and the minors and some stuff like that. So the boy left, he picked offense, and then left. So I heard he's doing the program 1st December. Well, I pray he succeeds. It's my prayer for him to succeed. So my advice for especially the younger ones who are coming up into music. This thing is beyond talent. They have to understand that it's beyond talent. One, you must be mentored, you must be discipled, because the system itself is a different world on its own. It involves a lot of things that when you have an experienced person giving discipleship and mentorship, it makes it different. Secondly, as a newcomer, you must learn to get away from the normal norms. Even if you're going to do some things normal, let that normal be new. Something different. Because if all of us join together in one bandwagon that we write songs like this, okay, worship is moving. I just came on worship at 2 because these days worship music is getting appreciated everywhere. It doesn't make sense like that. Or let's say the danceables, the gyrations. No, you need to sit down. This thing involves sitting down, cracking your brain, bringing up something that looks different from what is obtainable in the system and in the society. For example, when I did my first album, I sat down, in Jos, ask anybody who knows that year, in Jos, if it's not reggae music, forget it. In this Jos you see, we grew up meeting the system like that. So some of us that came from the hip hop and R&B background, let me tell you, we were the underdogs. You go to a concert, you're busting. It's only you who understand that this is cypher, this is wordplay, the people don't know. So you busting raps and raps, they look at you like this. Everybody just fall and say, what's he doing? But when a reggae guy gets up and go to the stage, the crowd went wow. You see that? So while I was sitting, I said, so how do we do this thing? And that was the first time that year I said, let me try writing rap music in Birom language and see. You see that? So the first song that ever gave me that attention, that was even played on radio, was a fusion of Birom raps and then a little bit of English chorus in it. And so anytime I go, people are like, get Arab there. And then even the agent, you see that now, even the agent who feels they are mature, they don't like rap music, but when the Biroman see that and then he's hearing, this is his language in a different, in a different approach, and they were liking it. And I started writing Hausa raps. So you discover that though they don't like raps, but they know what I'm saying. They can hear what I'm saying. And gradually, because in those days you were singing those raps, I'm telling you, it can't be like this. But who was not singing reggae in Jos way back? 95% of the artists in Jos that year were reggae artists. The only people who were not doing reggae were say Dabs, say Jeremiah, say M Smooth, say Molo Family, say and who? You just handpick them, count them. So my advice for the younger upcoming artists is, you must make sure you don't follow the trend. Sit down. If you think in your brain, if you think well, you come up with an idea. We don't want to think we are too noisy going in. Let me tell you, sometimes just sit down in your house, lock your doors, don't even read the Bible, don't even pray, don't do nothing. Sit down and think and meditate and say, I need a song. I need a song that is not normal. When I was writing Preacher Man, it's a very long song. It's over 2 full scales. And a lot of people don't know that was deliberate. Because everyone was just the worship, when you shout hallelujah 10 times, 20 times, repeating the same thing, refrains and everything like that. So I was asking myself, I said, can't I sing a song full of lyrics? But that people will hear and give a song some rhymes in your write-up, give the song some direct approach, just give the song that thought-provoking approach. Listen to Preacher Man. There was no single place we parted any place. I didn't part anything from the chorus to it is about 6 minutes plus. From the chorus to the verses to the refrains and everything, it was just one solo voice. And the first day I ministered that song, a lot of people saw that I didn't write that song. I'll tell you this. So, as a young person, don't just come out and do what everybody's doing. Because what everybody's doing, everybody is doing, and everybody's listening to what everybody's doing. But come with a different approach, whether in hip-hop, whether in rap, in R&B, in reggae, in traditional stuff, in makosa, whichever genre you're singing, have different approach. Just tell yourself, I'm coming with something different within the rap fraternity. And then lastly, as a young musician and an upcoming artist, you must have a place for honor. You must honor people. You know, in those days, I would go to Dab Studio. I would sit down. They were sending me. I was happy when they sent me. Let me tell you this, sir. I was happy when they sent me, buy this, buy that, do this. I'll go to Juba. Sometimes Vincent will send me, do this, buy that. I was just happy. In fact, when Vincent went into cinematography, I started shooting, I was the person that was holding his toolbox. Every location was going. I was holding that bag. And as at that time, my second album has dropped in the city. And at least one or two people have known me. But it doesn't change anything. I served him. And you see this. You just see a young man. Maybe we went to a church and then he sing one so powerful song and say, God, they hail him. And the next Sunday, you just see the guy will carry one big handkerchief like a towel. And then he'll just put it here, they call him apostle and say, hey, apostle is doing like this. It's beyond that. And he looks at his pastor that has pastored him and he begins to feel like he can rub shoulder with the pastor. No, this whole thing requires humility in learning. It takes you very well. Why do you think in the secular world today, people always, even me, make reference to Two-Face? For example, what gives Two-Face the urge he has today? It's beyond music. Because obviously there are so many young boys that are more talented and have better voices and better music than Two-Face. But to a larger extent, Two-Face understands the place of humility and honor. You get that? So I'm calling on all the younger musicians. Work hard, respect people, love yourself, invest some money in your craft, make sure as much as you can, push yourself the best way, and lastly, commit everything to prayer. God will help you. My Facebook page is I'm Job Manja. That's my page. I am Job Manja, all in capital letters, you'll see it there. And then my second Facebook account is Job Perepas. Job Perepas Manja. My YouTube account is Job Manja. My Instagram is Job Manja. I think for that